Good day and welcome back to the Vitality Project. I'm Dr. Bob and I'm happy for you to join me. Thank you. Yesterday we paused for a moment to reflect on those relationships in our lives which matter the most to us, and maybe because of that, these are relationships that matter enough to us that we care that they continue to improve. So we're realizing that these relationships are important to us and that they stand to improve even further. What we want to do now is to apply the principles that we've been using all along for the last few weeks and months, the principles of mind-body bridging. And we've practiced these, so they'll be familiar to you in form, even though the specific content will be new, because we're going to tie this in. We're going to zero in on how we might apply mind-body bridging principles and practices to the strengthening of our significant relationships. That's our goal here. I've mentioned him before, and I'm happy to mention him again. The British journalist Johann Hari has a TED Talk that's gone viral, and if you haven't seen it, I highly recommend that you see it. Something to the effect of, everything that you know about addiction is wrong. And in that TED Talk, at the very tail end, with a great deal of emotion, he makes this assertion. He says that the opposite of addiction is not sobriety. What is it? It is connection. It's in that spirit of Johann Hari's assertion about the centrality of connection to genuine recovery. It's in that spirit that what I want to do with you these next several posts, over these next several posts with homework exercises, I want to explore together with you skills that will help you and me build even better connections to others in our lives. So let's start with an exercise for today. It'll be a new mind-body map. If you've been with me before, you'll be roughly familiar with the format. So take a blank sheet of paper, write at the very top of that paper the following: how I should be in my most important relationship. How I should be in my most important relationship. And this is going to be a map about that topic. In the middle of your sheet of paper, draw a small oval, and then around that oval, draw a larger circle. Small oval, larger circle. In the middle of the oval, I'd like you to place the person's name that you want to work on today, and this would be your most important relationship. And if that's not ready to be worked on, then pick an important relationship, okay? But proceeding forth, I'll be assuming that you're working with your most important relationship. This is the relationship that matters the most to you, and that improvement would make the biggest difference in the quality of your life. So write that person's name down. This is for your eyes only. And then around that oval, inside the larger circle, outside the oval, inside the larger circle, I'd like you to write the first 4 to 6 thoughts that come to mind when you ask yourself how you should be in that relationship. How should you be in that relationship? I'll give you some examples. If I'm answering that question for myself, how should I be in that relationship? I could write down, I should be assertive. I should be level-headed. I should be willing to put everything else aside for this person. I'm just giving those ideas to kind of prime the pump or jumpstart your own thoughts. Write a half a dozen or so of those ideas inside that larger circle. And now's the fun part. It's an interesting little postscript. I want you to try this. Around the outside of the circle, I'd like you to write down the opposite of each one of these qualities that you just wrote out, qualities that you'd like to display in this relationship. So for example, when I said I should be assertive, the opposite of that would be passive. And so just write the word passive, and you might write it outside, kind of adjacent to the phrase inside the circle. So if I wrote I should be assertive, then passive. If I wrote I should be level-headed, I might write highly emotional outside the circle. If I wrote I should be willing to put everything else aside for this person, I might write outside the circle selfish. kind of the opposite quality to that which I would aspire. And after you've done this, after you've completed these half a dozen or so qualities, I'd like you to draw a line, just a simple line connecting each item inside the circle to its opposite quality outside the circle. So for example, if I wrote, I should be assertive, I just draw a line from that to the word passive outside the circle, and so on. Go around and you do that. Once you've done this, I want you to ask yourself a couple of questions, and that'll be it for today. We'll be coming back to this tomorrow. The first question is, how does each item inside the circle make you feel? Ask yourself that question. Okay, if I should be assertive, how do I feel about that? If I should be level-headed, how does that feel to me? Just notice what you feel in your body and inside. The second question is, I'd like you to go to those items outside the circle, the qualities that you identified outside the circle, and ask yourself that same question. How does each one of these items make me feel? How do I feel about being passive? How do I feel about being highly emotional? How do I feel about being selfish, and so on? You get the idea. So let's see what comes up for you. And I promise you, when we come back tomorrow, that we'll be extending today's map. In fact, hang on to this map because we'll be amplifying it when we come back tomorrow. In between now and then, I hope that you'll stay safe, be well. I want to thank you again for joining me, and come back and join me again soon. Take good care.